Welcome to the Pursuit of Moneyness. My name is Marnus Molster and welcome to the channel where we will be discussing the best personal finance tips and tricks so that your money can thrive. So in today's episode, we will be discussing everything compound interest, the do's and the don'ts, and just simply how it works. But to jump into an example right away, which I'm sure you all will agree with me, if I had to offer any child that was ever born a chocolate right now, or ask him to wait 30 days and I'll give him 10 chocolates extra, he's probably going to take that chocolate right away. Why? Because as a child, you've got that need for that instant gratification. But I don't really think we ever outgrow that into our adulthood lives. I really don't. I think it spills over in our decision making, but more importantly, in our personal finance decision making. Here's why. And be honest with yourself. So if I had to offer you R1 million cash, I'll pay it over right now. Or alternatively, I'll give you 1 cent that doubles each and every day for 30 days long. Which one would you choose? The R1 million or the 1 cent doubling for 30 days? You've got until the end of my intro video to make your decision. Welcome back, guys, and I hope you have those decisions ready for me, but most probably you chose the R1 million, and I don't blame you. Why not? You're going to receive it right now, it's guaranteed, just take your money and run. But at the end of the day, if you take 1 cent, doubling each and every day for 30 days long, it's worth 5.3 million rand. I bet you want to kick yourself right now. But what you're not realizing is this is what's happening with your investments in the background. This is a concept we call compound interest. And in my opinion, it's the single most best used vehicle in investments. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, Albert Einstein called it the 8th world wonder in the world. And there's a common misconception involved with it, whereby people think it's only for the rich, or it's only if you've got heaps of money, or whatever the scenario is. Guys, if you invest 1 cent and it turns into 2 cents and eventually 4 cents and 8 cents and so on, your money is busy compounding regardless of the amount. But I have to warn you, there's 1 or 2 things that you could be doing without you even noticing it or knowing it that could be hindering the process of your compound interest. Let's look at some examples and when compound interest actually happens. Meet Mr. Johnny, age 25. He's going to invest 1,000 Rand for the next 40 years, earning an interest rate of 8%. Eventually, Johnny will be worth 3.2 million Rand come age 65. But the most important thing to realize and see is that 85% of the 3.2 million Rand is interest. And only 14.8% was the contributions that he put in. To put it into a graph, clearly you can see the yellow line illustrating all the contributions plus all the interest takes off versus only the contributions. But when does it happen? Indicated by the red bar, it's clear to see that most of the compound, most of the interest on interest on interest happened right at the end of the investment term. Why? Because the longer you invest, the more time your money has to earn interest on top of interest. So let's look at Sandy, age 45. She's going to invest 3,500 Rand a month, but she's already accumulated 500,000 Rand for the next 20 years, and she's going to earn an interest rate of 8%. Eventually, Sandy will be worth 4.3 million Rand. But once again, the most important fact to look at is that Sandy's 4.3 million Rand consists of 69% interest, and only 30% of it was contributions. Once again, looking at a graph, it's more or less exactly the same as Johnny's example, whereby the yellow line consisting of all the contributions plus interest earned on interest simply takes away from the blue line. But it's also clear to see in the red block that most of the interest, most of the impact of this investment happened right at the end of this person's investment horizon. Even looking at the world's most famous investor, Warren Buffett, if you can look at the bottom graph, which is his age as well as the amount he is worth, in other words his net worth, you'll see that once again, even in his life as a professional investor, this seems to be true. whereby his wealth is busy doubling each and every 5 years. But that's a result of patience, investing from age 14, waiting up until 66, 65 to see the real worth of compound interest happening. So if this is happening in the background of the smartest investor in the world, who are we to argue? So now that you know how it works and now that you can see when it happens, which is quite obvious right at the end of the investment term, there's a couple of things that you might be doing right now within your investments and you're not even noticing that you're hindering the process of that big compounding effect happening at the end of your term, meaning 3 or 4 or 5 years just before you retire. This whole snowball effect could come into play. And you could be jeopardizing it without you even knowing it. So what are the 3 things that most consumers, in my opinion, do without them once again noticing, but could potentially be jeopardizing their plan? First of all, people chop and change financial advisors, financial strategies, financial portfolios, whatever you want to call it, too regularly. The problem with that is you've got no idea of the compounding effect this new decision might or might not entail in the future. Whereas if you take your entire investment term, and this could once again be 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, 5 years, I don't know, and you stick the course with a low cost, well diversified investment, you'll be far better off than trying to chop and change things the whole time. I guarantee you that, because the compounding can and would be factored into that by a proper financial advisor. So you would already know, I'm starting with this, I might be ending up with that, and that's the compounding effect that happens. This will entail you as an investor to rather stick to the course because your whole entire scenario is mapped out for you. The second thing people unfortunately do is they start too late. And when I say start too late, I'm not referring to your age. Yes, obviously, it's better to start when you're 20 than starting when you're 40. That's quite obvious. But what I'm referring to is you could be, let's say you're 45 years old. You're still 20 years away from retirement. I'm referring to that. When I say start early, I actually mean start right now. Because if you're going to take that 20-year investment term, as we saw from all the examples, the compounding effect happens at the end. But the longer the term, the bigger the compounding effect. In other words, if you're going to delay it because you're waiting for a salary increase, you're waiting to pay this off and that off, first of all, you're going to wait forever. But second of all, the big amount of compounding happening right there at the end, as we saw from all the examples, gets less and less and less. So when I say start early, I mean start now with whatever time horizon you have left. You literally stealing from your future self the longer you wait to invest. That's a fact of life. Okay, and that brings me to my last and final point of something you might be doing without you noticing. Guys, it's the investment fees you pay. Please stop not caring about the investment fee you pay. I promise you 99% of people I've ever met in the 7 years of doing this had no clue what fee they pay. That's the first thing I change about somebody's portfolio. It's always the fee they pay towards the investment. To give you guys some stats, if you're about 25 years old and you're paying the average fee South Africans pay for investments, which is about 3% on an annual basis. If you pay that 3% up until retirement, you're going to have 33% less money. Now, if that doesn't ring a bell somewhere inside of you, I'm not sure if you're not taking your money seriously, and I'm not sure what you're doing on this podcast then. Because literally to lower it from 3% to 2% gives you 33% more money, guaranteed on the table right there. Take the option. And guys, it's extremely easy to lower fees from 3 to 2%. You can lower it down to 1% or 1.5% in fees, giving you 50-60% more money in retirement. Let's put it to the test. You guys will remember Johnny as well as Sandy. Now, on the left, this is Johnny's example. If he paid 1% more in fees and he waited 5 years later, there's a 47% difference in his money, moving from 3.2 million rand to 1.7. On Sandy's example, if she waited 5 years longer and paid 1% more in fees, there's a 43% difference, moving her money from 4.3 million to 2.4 million. Which once again proves it's not what you invest, but it's how you invest your money. I can't express it enough. I'm probably sure you can feel it and see it, how important it is to lower your fees. So what can you do to see more of this content? Like the Facebook page, go and follow the YouTube channel if you want, but most importantly, send me your email address because then you'll be on a mailer list. I'll send weekly mails reminding you about these tips and tricks. And thanks for joining me up until the end of the video.